Okay, we're going to start the meeting, call the meeting to order for the Committee of Whole for November 6th. And we'll start again with the acknowledgement of treaties of peace and friendship. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather is traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq peoples. The territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Wolastoqiyik, Mi'kmaq, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. Thank you. Olawan. Next is the reaffirmation of the oath of office. We do hereby accept the office of council, will diligently, faithfully, and impartially discharge to the best of our ability the duties of the office as may be imposed upon us by law. Next is the adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes? If not, can we get a motion to accept the agenda?
M 2023-1106-152 that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Get a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. If there are any statements of conflict of interest, they'll be passed into the clerk. There are no presentations, petitions, or delegations. Business arising. Council, no council presentations. So we move down to administration. Discussion on the Regional Service Commission budget. CLE, maybe you want to take it off?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I'll get the conversation going. So, as council is aware, there is a budget discussion that's coming up, and Beldoon does need to vote on that for the Regional Service Commission. So I've presented some information to council, most recently with a revised proposed budget that came from the Service Commission. I suppose from my perspective, maybe what I can do is I can lend a little bit of insight into the conversations that we've been having with the administration on the administration side when we're going to different council meetings with the, different meetings with the Service Commission. And hopefully, I think ultimately where I am on it is trying to give council maybe a good grasp of the consequences between the budget passing and the budget not passing for the Service Commission. I also should mention that Jocelyn with the Planning Commission, she's readily available if there's any questions. If you have specific stuff that you want to ask about and you want me to reach out to her, she's available, and she's really helped us sort of through this process. Just because I was a little bit late coming in, a lot of the changes that were made were impacted by the amalgamations, so it's a lot of relatively new stuff. So ultimately what I did was the information that I put over to council, I kind of compared the original draft of the 2024 budget, which was circulated in September of this year. So that was sort of what I used as the starting point. And the information that I've given you most recently, because there was a revised draft that came out, the second iteration of it this weekend. So that one I've also sent out to council. So I did summarize some of the changes that were made. The reason that there was a change to the budget was that there was more equalization grant money that was applied to the Shallura Regional Service Commission, which they were able to take and put into their services, which reduced the contribution that Beldoon would make for 2024. So with the added funding that they received, we do see about a $4,000 decrease in our contribution. I think what is important for me to touch on before council kind of gets into the discussion on it is that in the meetings and the conversations that I've been having, you know, the arguments or the discussion that's being had, whether it's, you know, there's merit to it, you know, obviously there's a lot of different points that are being raised and they all have merit. But really for me, what I wanted council to be aware of is where the budget, what it kind of looks like for Beldoon, specific to Beldoon, as it's being presented now versus what it potentially could be if it was changed. So a lot of the way, if anyone has any questions along the way, let me know and I'll do my best to answer. But really, there was two services that in the conversations that I've been having that were really kind of highlighted, and I just wanted to kind of overview those with council so they had an understanding of the other municipalities and sort of where they are on stuff. So one of the issues that was raised was around the planning component of the budget. And the reason that was sort of raised was because not all of the entities in the Regional Service Commission's area utilize this service. Bathurst has their own planning department. So some of the conversations that we did have around this budget was that there was kind of a strong voice at the table that the equalization money that's received in should go into the services that are shared by all members. The counter argument made against that was that this is a service that they all could be a part of, but there was an option. I'm not going to say an option to not involve themselves. Bathurst's stance on it has been we've never been involved in it. We've always had our own planning department. So there was money, quite a bit of there was a substantial amount of money that was applied to the planning department that's not really being utilized by all of the members. So there was points raised about that. I'll just put a pin on that one real quick. I'll come back to it in a minute. The other one was around regional transportation. In that, the plan for 2024 for regional transportation with the Service Commission, Beldoon is not part of the phase one of that plan. As such, Beldoon doesn't have a contribution to it. There's $0 being contributed to Beldoon. In the discussions that I've been having, there is some issue being taken with that because there is an expected capital that needs to be purchased. So for the regional transportation initiative, there's buses and taxi buses that are going to be purchased in 2024. So there's an argument that is being made that Beldoon should contribute to that capital because eventually we will be using the capital. So the reason that I wanted to bring up those points, everything else, you know, we could get into the details on, but there's a lot of staffing that's being increased. There's a lot of services that the Service Commission is trying to do. The reason that I kind of wanted to bring up those two is because the budget passing the way that it's being presented versus the budget being defeated and needing to be redone. When I look at kind of a risk mitigation factor, I really don't see how, if the budget gets defeated and if it needs to be redone, I really don't see how it would be any better for Beldoon. I think that a revised budget would probably come back with Beldoon contributing more than what we are with this budget. So strictly from kind of a financial perspective, you know, I think that what's being proposed here is probably a better scenario for Beldoon. It's not to take away from the arguments that are being made. You know, if it does get defeated and it goes back, or if you know Jocelyn does need to sort of rework this, and there is contribution to the transportation as an example, you know, I suppose there could be an argument made, and we can cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think what was important for me is to make sure that council understood the numbers and sort of understood some of the differing viewpoints, and ultimately it was important that I think that we kind of recognize what this existing budget looks like versus what it could potentially look like if it got revamped. So I think for now, I'll kind of leave it at that. If there is questions on the budgets, you know, specific to the budget, I'll try my best to answer them. I do have Jocelyn available, you know, at any time this week that I can definitely get answers back to council on. But I think maybe we'll just use that as a stepping point for a discussion for council.
Is anyone on council wish to?
If I may, Your Worship. I see where in all the numbers, they're listing Bathurst, Bell Bay, and Beldoon. However, the rural districts are also part of this equation and have voting members on the CSR, on the Regional Service Commission. So my question is, why are we seeing all the numbers that pertain to the three, I guess the three Bs, and we're not seeing anything as to what the rural districts are contributing? Those are all the rural districts contributions down there? Okay, I didn't get that far. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
So, we have technically 2 votes, right? And so Bathurst will have 4, Bell Bay has 3, and the LS have 1. Pardon? Yeah, I'm just thinking the odds of them not voting the same for their area would cause a lot of confusion.
Okay, I'm sure council is aware, but for the public as well. So yes, you're correct. It is, in this instance, it is a weighted vote based on, the tax base and population. So you're correct. There is 2 members on the board from Bathurst. Their votes are each worth 4. They're 4 and 4. Bell Bay, there's 2 members on the board. They're worth 3 and 3. Beldoon has 2 members on the board. Their vote is worth 1 and 1. And the rural districts are also worth 1 and 1. So to your point, if Bathurst and Bell Bay are in an agreement on something, then ultimately our vote is kind of nominal, and it's going to happen. In this instance, and I really can't say, I don't have the insight to say whether or not Bell Bay is going to vote for, Bathurst is going to vote for the budget. I definitely have seen lots of questions asked, so I don't know where they both are. If they do, if there is a situation where Bathurst or Bell Bay are on different ends of it, then yes, our vote is significant for sure. Your vote is either, it could be an equalizer, it could be something that pushes it over the edge. So yes, absolutely. But it's a good point to raise, and it is something that council and members of the public should be aware of, is that it is a weighted vote. It's not just one person voting for it. They're due to the population and the tax base, there are different values attributed to the vote. Yeah.
Anyone else?
This meeting is Wednesday? The vote? Is that on, no, it's not on Wednesday?
I believe it's at the end of the month. But I thought Wednesday was just another sort of get together yeah. So, and I mean, the budget, well, first of all, CEO Lee has it dead on, I think. Most of I would say the vast majority of the numbers for most of the sectors aren't controversial. They're pretty much what municipalities expect. I think the 2 that he mentioned are probably the most, problematic, or at least ones that expose maybe the budget more than others. I expect it to be a fluid process. I don't think, I think the upcoming meeting is going to be an important one, right? And then after that, there'll be more of either whatever it looks like probably this time next week is probably what it is, right? So, and they're just gonna have to try and figure out if they can find a way to make some compromise, like everything else, right? And if they can't, then, and again, to CEO Lee's point, he's, you know, not willing to sort of take a guess. I think that's probably smart. I don't think anybody really knows where everybody is, but it's got some points that I think needs more talk, for sure. So, and as far as the votes, yeah, and it's good that the public understand that, right? That it is a weighted process. So Bell Bay and Bathurst certainly have the most of the votes, as you would expect. And then the rural districts in Beldoon will, but it's, you know, it's a real possibility that Beldoon's vote may mean something this time around, so. And to Sally's other point about it, you know, coming back, if there was a second version coming back, I would guess, like CEO Lee, I don't see it coming back with smaller numbers, let's put it that way. So I think he's right about that as well. So if there's anyone else that has an observation or questions for CEO Lee or any of the members?
Yeah, but we also have to understand, like, we don't have a big village, we don't have a lot of people here, and our budget is the lowest budget out of the three. Like, we're talking big numbers of difference in Bell Bay and Bathurst's budget. So, you know.
Did anyone have anything else they wanted to add, or CEO Lee, did you have a wrap-up?
So do we know when the vote, I thought the vote was either going to be this week or was on the 15th. Do we know when the vote is? Because really ultimately what we need to do is with Paul and Cynthia, they are the voting members. So, you know, my recommendation obviously is we're, you know, collectively, they need to know how it is that they're going to vote on this, right? So I don't think it's something that we need to determine right now. There's certainly, you can take this away, but if there is, I had actually was kind of operating, I thought that there was going to be some type of vote on Wednesday. So I would certainly encourage members of council to get your information on your opinion back to Paul and Cynthia before, I would say, end of day tomorrow. And if that ends up being extended, then that's no problem. But yeah, that's
Yeah, I would agree with that. My sense is it's probably going to go past Wednesday, but there's, I mean, from here on in, you know, at any meeting, there's a potential for a vote. So yeah, if you could get your opinion as to whether or not, I think we're probably in agreement where we would go with this. And I'm going to go, I know certainly for my vote, whatever the majority of council decides is what I will vote. So if you can get that opinion in, that's going to be my vote. Okay? Do you have anything further, SCLE? Councilor Burke, you look like you had something you wanted to add?
No, I don't, you know, between now and tomorrow, for example, to send in, you know, personally, I have no issues sending the recommendation that we vote in favor of the budget. I think the writing is pretty well on the wall. At the end of the day, we've looked at it, we've talked about it, we've seen it. I don't see my opinion changing between now and then, so I'm going to state it publicly that I'm certainly in favor of voting in favor of the budget.
Okay, so if anyone has, well, if you publicly want to put forth your opinion now, you're certainly welcome to. If you want to send an email in that regard tomorrow.
I think this is the best avenue for us. This is the best scenario for us at this time. I don't see I agree that this is probably the best way to go for this year. And then we'll look at next year when we have to, but I agree, we should vote yes on this.
Okay. I think what probably would be helpful, to be honest with you, for me, I know personally, I would like to be able to come in and say, this is what our council feels, and this is this is what we will be doing. Councilor Guitar McDonnell, did you have any opinion?
I think I'm in agreement that hopefully this will follow through and there won't be a second one have to be introduced. So I'm in favor of getting this put forward, definitely. Yeah.
Councilor Robinson or Councilor Carrier, if you have anything you want to add. If not, we'll adjourn. CLD, did you have anything? Okay. So, did you have something else, Councilor? Okay. Then we'll get the,
Just a comment, if I
Sure.
could, Your Worship?
Yeah.
I think your comment your last comment that you made is probably a very critical comment in the sense of saying that, yes, you can have an opinion. Both voting members can have an opinion. But both voting members, the mayor would only vote on this council at a tie, and you get the right to vote at the CSR, and Councillor Robinson gets to vote at both, basically on the budget here on council and at the CSR. But my point is this, both members who represent this council should be, they don't have to agree with the vote. They just got to remember that that is the decision of council, and that is the vote of council, and that is the vote they should be taking to the CSR seat.
okay, anyone else? All right, then we'll have a motion to adjourn.
M 2023-1106-153, that the meeting is adjourned at 7:22.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. Meeting adjourned.